It's 20 to 6. Dave Driver's a landscaper with a company called Deep Earth, and he's driven by one really big idea. G'day, Dave.
Good morning. How are you, Rick?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm so keen to talk spring gardens, landscaping, all that kind of bizzo. But I just love the ethos behind your company. What can a good garden do?
Well, it can provide food for your family, provide sort of therapeutic space for you to get out into and just enjoy nature, whether it's a big garden or a small garden, and it just brings heaps of joy, especially this time of year.
And you have an idea about if you design it well, it can be part of fixing the earth, healing the earth?
Absolutely, because you've got the choices of what you put into it, and especially what you leave out of it. For example, I don't like to use any pesticides and try and keep chemicals to a bare minimum. That's a big part of it, because you don't want your own garden to be contributing to runoff into streams and waterways. You don't want to be killing insect populations, and you want to be promoting biodiversity in every way you can. So yeah, if your garden can be a part of that, absolutely.
In terms of putting stuff into the garden, what's the story with supplies this year? How much of the stuff that we buy from garden centres comes from interstate or overseas?
Well, depending on what you're using, a fair chunk of it. The plants themselves have been really hit hard, especially through COVID, because people have been staying home. People are naturally thinking about sprucing up their own place because they can't spend their money going out. So lots of plants are being snaffled up everywhere. Yeah, so there's a nationwide plant shortage. A lot of the nurseries are really struggling to get plants that would normally come from the mainland, because they are thinking Tasmania is such a little blip on the national market. We're not going to even bother sending stuff to them. So yeah, we are relying on locally sourced stock. But yeah, that means there's a few shortages. That's not a bad thing. We can just look after our local nurseries and buy what is locally available rather than worrying about too much interstate stuff.
When you're thinking about landscaping, if you're looking at your own backyard, what are the key kind of qualities that you look for in terms of organising it?
Well, you need to have a design before you start, so that you're not doing something. You might just want to do a little bit at a time because your finances will only allow that. But you want to have a kind of overarching picture in your head at the very least. Even better if you can have a rough mud map or a more fancy design. Then you can work out which bits you want to focus on at any given time. So I normally would look after the main structural components before, window dressing. And so you need to make sure you've got things like drainage, retaining walls, any sort of hard surfaces, all the kind of structural elements sorted out before you then plant. Because you don't want to be putting a lovely plant in and then discovering you need to retain soil behind it, because you have to move that plant again, and that's not the best for the plant. You can move plants around to some extent, but it always shocks them a bit. So you want to get all your structural elements in the earliest stage. Yeah.
5:45, ABC Radio Hobart, Tradie Tuesday. Dave Driver's a landscaper with Deep Earth. Has the landscaping business just gone completely bananas during COVID, Dave?
Yes, it has. Yeah, I was thinking it might get a bit quiet and soft around the edges, but no, it's been nuts. In fact, construction in general has been pretty nuts, and that drives a fair bit of landscaping as well. But yeah, people staying at home, wanting to improve their properties, has definitely made people think about, what do I do about making my place nicer? So yeah, everyone's busy.
How are you going with staff in that case?
Well, my staffing's been fine. I'm thinking to expand a little bit though, because there's plenty of demand out there. But yes, I'm hearing from other landscapers that it's kind of hard to find staff because there's a lot of people looking to expand as well.
When there's all these building stimulus packages, are you included in that, or are you a sort of peripheral beneficiary of it?
I'm not really sure on the detail, but I'd say peripheral. I have heard of people trying to get grants and get designs which include a landscaping element. And, so if they can get sort of swing things under a whole umbrella of a construction, then they might be able to include landscaping. But I think it's probably less likely that landscaping is the main thing, but the driver is the construction element, and then people have got money left over from that, and they tend to throw a few cents our way.
I just had a moment where I want to put a few flax plants in, and I'm from New Zealand. I thought, I'll get the flax that I remember from New Zealand. Found out it was a weed. Was like, oh no, it's a controlled weed. But then I found a Tasmanian version through a Tino site or something. Like, when you're looking at what you put into gardens, how much do you like to look at the balance of native, Tasmanian native versus Australian native versus, birch trees?
Well, it's a sliding scale. Like, you can... When I did my forestry studies 20-odd years ago, I remember getting quite firm in the whole, let's just go with native things and just go with local genetic biodiversity promotion. But I've relaxed over the years, and I think it just depends on what you've got. Like, if you happen to live in a place that's got an established garden already and it's got exotic plants in it, like birches. I've got heaps of birches in my place, so I love them. Nothing wrong with them. If you want to promote local wildlife, then you just need to plant your own indigenous species where you can. So go to somewhere like Plants of Tasmania nursery and get the real local stuff, because they're just awesome at picking up and promoting local stuff, although they're also getting mainland species too. So if you want to get some, grevilleas or banksias, we might have just a couple or one species, and they're often fairly sort of pale. Tasmania often has sort of species with the genus, or the species name is pallidus, like pale, sort of lemon yellow sort of flowers. That's just something about the latitudes that we're on. So if you want to get some bright colour, I don't mind going to the mainland, and I don't mind getting a rhododendron in sometimes.
Wow, you've just expanded your horizons as you've matured, haven't you? This is Dave Driver, landscaper from Deep Earth Tradie Tuesday, talking about business from both sides as well. Where are you on the idea of those non-disturbed gardens where you don't till the soil and dig it over, but you just put a little cut in the soil and slide your seedling in?
I think it's quite laudable, the minimal disturbance you put into any natural space is probably going to be better for the environment. But having said that, we don't live in an undisturbed environment. If anything, we're not massively disturbed. So it depends on how willing you are to follow up with it, I think. If you... I like getting a spade into the soil and digging it over and adding things to it and seeing what's in there. But, you might have a really compacted, impacted site. The best thing you can do is turn it over and add some organic matter and fertiliser and a few things to it before you put things in. Okay,
I feel much better about that. And I bought some seedlings the other day, and they're like, now you can't put these in the ground for 2 weeks at least. It's got to be 18 every day.
Yeah, hold on.
Right, so I wanted to check that with you. Really, realistically, in most of this suburb, and I know we've got microclimates, Gilston Bay, for example, is like the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
When are we putting stuff in the ground?
Well, it's getting pretty close.
I want to do it now.
Yeah, look, if you want to do it now, and then you'll get that little last frost snap will come along and just destroy your dreams. So just wait until, it used to be after show day, it was the old rubric, that was, 4th of October-ish, early October, so look, we're not far away.
All right, I'll hold my horses.
Keep them inside, keep them warm, keep them growing, and get all your garden spaces prepped up and weeded, and add your compost and everything you want to it. Get that ready to go, and then when it's in first week of October, I reckon first weekend of October, you should be pretty good.
All right, okay. I've done all the other stuff. I'm ready for the next one. Thanks, Dave.
Excellent. No worries. Thank you.